And welcome back to Flow Sports Fix on this Monday evening. It's time to look at the world game, the round ball game. And of course, we always go to our number one expert, the world game guru here at Flow FM, and that is Ellis Gelios. Ellis, mate, how are you today? Did you enjoy your Orthodox Easter?
I did, thank you, Clayton, and I'm enjoying the fact that we're in the home stretch, because you always get a couple of surprises in the whether it's the Premier League or the A-League, when we're in those final stretch of matches. So I'm enjoying seeing what potential slip-ups may arise, but obviously a very eventful night overnight in England, was it not, Clayton?
It was. So can you just fill us in with a bit of info about it? Was we're talking about the game that was postponed between Man United and Liverpool, which I was really looking forward to for a Liverpool victory, so I could let my brother-in-law know. But anyway, that's beside the point. But the fans, they're not happy with the Glazers, the owners of Man United, and they took to the field in protest. Is that correct?
It was. Look, for me last night, it was a bit of a bittersweet catch-22 kind of night. I put down a few energy drinks just to stay up for the game, and then obviously it was abandoned due to the protests, the widespread protests that went on at Old Trafford, largely thanks to a core group of Manchester United fans. I say a catch-22 because of the fact that this needed to happen, and I really applauded what they did, the Man United fans. That this is really the only way that you can let a conglomerate know how disgruntled you are as a fan base, Clayton, to actually put together a protest that was so effective that it called the game off. That is massive. That's, people talk about, don't buy Guernseys, don't go to games. Well, this is bigger than any of that. And this really needed to happen. They're doing this not only on behalf of their own supporters' best interests, but on behalf of supporters' interests across Europe and in England. So that was great. But then I had to stay awake after all my energy drink consumptions to watch nothing. So a bit of a bittersweet night on that front. But, a huge night in terms of an unprecedented event, really, to have this happen in England, particularly with all the social distancing obviously not being adhered to by the protesters. So lots going on, and it caught everyone by surprise. They did very well to not have this leaked. As you know, Clayton, there's so many fan platforms that are constantly updating fans by the letter of the minute, and this escaped everyone's notice right up until the event began. So they did very, very well in large numbers to coordinate this, and obviously now they have the full attention of those in the hot seat at Old Trafford who they do not want to be in that hot seat much longer.
Yes, and of course the Liverpool supporter base would have been, we know nothing, and we're totally behind you as well, because they've had their frustrations, and they would not have objected to this in any way. They would have been right behind it too.
Correct, and on two fronts as well, because this meant that given this game did not go ahead, it meant that there could be no confirmation of a Manchester City title. So Liverpool remain champions for another night, at least, Clayton. In terms of unification across both supporter bases, there is a lot of discontent and a lot of disillusioned fans. Not too far down the road, I think it's 70-odd kilometres northwesterly. You probably know better than me in terms of English geography, but the Liverpool fans and the United fans, I'm sure, often not unified, but this would have been the one occasion where they were. Obviously very similar issues with Liverpool and the Fenway Sports Group. But that remains to be seen what will happen in terms of whether there's any protests that go on, on Merseyside. But I'm sure Liverpool fans would have been right behind this as well.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's leave the English Premier League, because we kind of know where things are going there in terms of who's going out and who's going to win and all that. But looking at the A-League, I think that's more important at the moment, because there seems to be a lot more action taking place in the A-League, and it's getting down to that time where a simple draw. I mean, Adelaide United 2 weeks ago, they were sitting second and looking good and talking about finishing first or second, and now they're sitting down in fourth. So in 2 weeks, there's some frustrations, obviously, that have got to be happening inside the Adelaide United camp.
I don't think anyone would have seen that last Sunday's loss away to Wellington would be as devastating as it was, because we're almost ready to sort of get our cigars out for a point there as Adelaide United fans, and then had results not gone our way across this last weekend just gone, considering the 0-0 draw at home, the very dismal 0-0 draw that Adelaide United secured last Friday night, we could have been out of the top 6. So the A-League is just really neck and neck at the moment. Very, very turbulent in terms of pretty much most teams and how they're situated, aside from Melbourne City, who are the dominant force at the moment, playing with an utter arrogance that we've just never seen. This is a Melbourne City who, even at their best, historically tend to buckle under the slightest bit of pressure and expectations. But they are just cruising at the moment, playing a fantastic brand of football and getting results along the way that have really got them in good stead. They're obviously leading the table. Central Coast Mariners should have beaten Melbourne Victory last Sunday night. Unfortunately for them, Jacob Butterfield, an absolute cracker from him, ensuring that Melbourne Victory got a share of the spoils in that game. But the Mariners would have been very disappointed because had they won, they'd be in a position to put a lot of pressure on Melbourne City. But the Mariners, they've got the best player, or one of their best players, definitely their best import player, unavailable for their next game. That's Marcos Hildenia, after he got quite a needless red card in their most recent game out. So they'll be disappointed. But Sydney FC, the big losers from the weekend, losing to Western Sydney in that Sydney derby. What a event it was. Sold out crowd. Bruce Kamau, the South Australian, being clearly the man of the match for me in that game. Western Sydney winning 3-2, a huge result for them because they've been under immense pressure. We even saw, you talk about widespread fan protests. We saw some happening at Western Sydney Wanderers' training sessions recently by disgruntled fans. So that's really kicked them into gear, and they've gone on to win a very important game on Saturday night over Sydney FC, who haven't won a derby for now 2 years, Clayton, if you can believe that. This is the reigning premiers who have actually won the last 2 A-League titles. Western Sydney becoming a real bogey team for Sydney FC. But Al Lafondra, who's in quarantine, will very much obviously right some wrongs for Sydney FC when he comes back into the equation very soon. He's obviously just a exceptional player, Adam Lafondra, and they'll be a real deadly strike force when they've got Lafondra and Bovo running out for them very shortly.
There's a game coming up on Wednesday, Brisbane Roar and Western United. What's your feeling on this one? Because this is a crucial game for both sides, but it could also impact on Adelaide United as well.
Correct, it could. Look, all signs should point to a Brisbane Roar win because despite their most recent 0-0 draw, which was played in pretty unfavourable conditions and quite a unsuitable pitch for professional football, in my view, Brisbane Roar, they've been playing with quite a sort of unprecedented cohesion for their standards this season most recently. And I think despite the sort of issues that are going on behind closed doors with a couple of players, there's talk that their goalkeeper, Jamie Young, wants to leave. And there should be no reason for him wanting to leave because he's the clear number one choice with no pressure from the number two in terms of the goalkeeping ranks at the Roar. And they've most recently lost Scott McDonald too, their key number 9, who's had a fallout with the coach, Warren Moon. But despite those issues going on in the background, Brisbane Roar, for me, they've come up over that sort of hurdle that bogged them down throughout that midway point of the season, and they're looking like a contender again for me. So they'll really want to consolidate themselves as a challenger for that top 6. But Western United, obviously, they'll be licking their lips after securing such a impressive draw away to Adelaide United with 10 men for half a game last Friday night. And Mark Rudin had a real impassioned press conference at the end of that game, really bemoaning VAR and how it's turning fans away from the game, and a press conference that really deviated away from the facts of the game and went into a giant spill about where the game's at in general, and dragged on for about 16 minutes. 16 very compelling minutes, I might add, and I'd implore all listeners to go and check that one out if you are following the A-League this season.
All right, what's your hot tip then?
I'm going to go for a Brisbane Roar 2-1 win.
All right. And, of course, Adelaide United play Western Phoenix on Friday night. There's a big game there. But before we get to talk about anything else, we're running quickly out of time. I just want to get your hot tip on two very big Champions League games that are going to be taking place this week. The reverse, or the second legs of the games. We've got Man City and PSG and Chelsea and Real Madrid. So how do you see those games quickly?
I have absolutely no reason to doubt the prospects of Manchester City. So I think they'll be fine there. And you really put me on the spot with the other one.
And I love doing it too.
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But look, based on their European record, I'm going to tip Real Madrid.
Okay, all right. Good hot tips and that, because there are going to be some interesting games, and I think Man City are probably you're right there. Absolutely. All right, sorry about that, Ellis. I just wanted to see your thoughts, and I love dropping you in at the last minute, and I know you'd tip Adelaide United to beat Wellington Phoenix on Friday anyway, so we didn't need to really ask about that, did we?
Probably not, but I'll just note that there's another game on Wednesday night, a real important one. That's Melbourne City and Perth Glory. Perth Glory, after their most recent 0-0 draw at home to Macarthur, they're going to start running out of games very, very soon. And as we know, having heard Tony Sage on our very own platform here in the Flow Network, it's really an important season for Perth, given all the investment that's gone into that squad. So it'll be quite embarrassing if they can't even qualify for the finals.
Absolutely. All right, Ellis, thank you so much for your thoughts on the world game at the moment, and we look forward to more conversations with you in the coming weeks. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.